I hope you guys are enjoying this fall ball series so far. A lot of great sports videos still to come in this month of November. Now, tomorrow I'm doing a sports themed Q&A. It's hashtag NFL. If you want to have any and all questions pertaining to the NFL, past, present, future, answered, all you have to do is go to Twitter, tweet your questions to @schlegdaddytv, and I'll take as many of the best questions as I can and answer them in this Q&A. But remember, when you put your question in a tweet to me on Twitter @schlegdaddytv, that you have to put hashtag NFL. Just makes it easier for me to categorize the questions and keep track of everything. So hashtag NFL Q&A coming up tomorrow. Remember to tweet your questions to @schlegdaddytv. Now let's get on with the video. Now, as you can tell, I enjoyed Week 9's NFL action very much. I got a grin on my face from ear to ear. It don't matter. It was a fun week of football in this 2013 NFL season, no question about it. So let's take a look back at week number 9, recap it if you will, and start off with some of the big stories of the week. When you're a quarterback and you throw for over 400 yards, I guess you could say you've had an okay day. When you throw for over 400 yards and your offense scores 49 points and you win 49-20, you could say you had a really good day. When you have a day where you throw for over 400 yards, you offense scores 49 points, and you throw 7 touchdown passes, you could say you had a historic day, just like Nick Foles did this past Sunday for the Eagles against the Oakland Raiders. It's just really fluky and weird, isn't it? The Eagles can't win at home, but they are incredibly difficult to beat on the road for whatever the hell reason. They went into Oakland and they steamrolled, and Foles was money. He was on point. Just a beautiful display of a passing game. This is what the Chip Kelly offense, I guess, was supposed to look like. Another big story for this week is kind of twofold. It revolves around the Monday night game. That's Aaron Rodgers hurting his non-throwing left shoulder early in the action and missing the rest of the game. It looks like he could potentially, I don't know at this point, but potentially be out maybe a couple of weeks. So that's a potential real game changer in that NFC North division where the Packers look like they might be starting to run away with things. And my Bears won. Over the past 4 years, including the NFC Championship game in 2010, the Bears were 1-8 against the Green Bay Packers. And Mark Trestman keeps up the precedent, the 4th straight Bears coach in his first year at the helm to beat the Packers on the road at Lambeau Field, and now the 7th straight coach in Bears history to beat the Green Bay Packers at least once in his first season coaching against Green Bay. It wasn't the prettiest victory, but McCown stepped up and played well. I thought Wallace did the best he could. He's not a real deal quarterback anymore by any stretch of the imagination. Sorry, Tony, but he's not. The bottom line is this was a big win for the Chicago Bears. Definitely a season saver. And what I would say right now to Mark Trestman and that coaching staff in Chicago and that organization is pump the brakes. There's no need to rush back Cutler for Week 10 against the Detroit Lions. What's the difference? Frankly, there really wasn't any. McCown did what Cutler has consistently failed to do, and that's beat Green Bay. Now, to me, unfortunately, they beat Green Bay when they weren't at full strength, in particular, the full strength of not having Aaron Rodgers, without having Clay Matthews, but in particular, Aaron Rodgers. So even though they beat the Packers, and I'm incredibly happy, I still feel like in some ways it was a tainted victory because of the fact that Aaron Rodgers didn't play and Clay Matthews wasn't there. I'll take it, but it feels like it could have been a little bit more rewarding. And then, of course, the big story in the NFL this week, unfortunately, became the bullshit that was the Jonathan Martin saga. And in particular, what I mean is the distractions that have been caused by it and the douchebaggery and assholiness of Richie Incognito. What an asshole. What a D-bag. I mean, how do you not get it? I think you would think you would get to a certain point in time where you're making X number of dollars, and I don't know because I've never made $4 million in a fucking year. But you would think when you got to that point, you would figure out a way to shut the hell up and stop being a raging, flaming douchebag asshole. Incognito's always had character questions. I know several teams didn't have him on their draft boards going way back after he got out of college at Nebraska because of character concerns. And you can see why now. I hope Incognito never plays another down in the NFL. I get the whole thing about hazing and this and that, people having to pay their dues, but you do cross a line to the point where you get into the ridiculous and the stupid. And this right here was the ridiculous and the stupid. An Incognito who has demonstrated a career problem of demonstrating poor character should be made as an example for everybody else. Cut this shit out. Cut this shit out. Instead of all these veterans being so worried about imposing their superiority and hazing these rookies, how about you practice harder? How about you study your fucking playbooks? Just a thought. Richie Incognito, go to hell. And I hope you never suit up in the NFL again, you asshole. Enough of that asshole Incognito. Let's talk about some of the biggest surprises of the season so far, both positive and negative. You got to look at Kansas City, 9-0, and now they're heading into a bye before their big Week 11 matchup at Denver taking on the Broncos. They're 9-0. You could say now, looking at it, you could say, oh, they had a lot of talent there. They were probably the best 2-14 of all time team of all time last year. Yeah, they still went 2-14, and they're 9-0. And it's frankly not like their quarterback play is that much better compared to what they've had in recent years. Alex Smith in 9 games has 9 touchdown passes, 9 of them. The one thing I will give him credit for, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and that's just what it is. So they play great defense, they run the ball well, and they don't turn the ball over. That tends to be a successful winning formula to a certain degree, especially in the regular season. Kansas City 9-0, probably the biggest surprise of the year. The New England Patriots being 7-2 heading into the bye. The bottom line is, you thought the Patriots were going to struggle a bit this year. I know I certainly did, and they have on the offensive side of the ball. And they've been a little bit decimated with some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. But now you've got Gronkowski coming back healthy. Brady had a big game last week. They're heading into a bye, I think, at a good time. They're in first place in their division, and they look like an elite team in the AFC. That's a bit of a surprise. I thought they were going to struggle a little bit more and have a little bit of a worse record, maybe be 6-3 or 5-4 at this point. And the New Orleans Saints being 6-2, yeah, they lost to the Jets on the road this past Sunday, but 6-2 is 6-2 for a team that had an ugly year last year with the Bounty Gate shit. Coming back now, being in 6-2 in first place in the NFC South, they definitely are a positive surprise. Some of the big-time, like, negative surprises. Listen to these teams. Pittsburgh Steelers, Atlanta Falcons, New York Giants, and Houston Texans are all 2-6 right now. 2-6. I told you before the season started that I didn't think the Falcons were going to win the division. I thought the Giants were going to finish third in their division. I thought the Steelers were going to struggle and only win 5 or 6 games this year. So some of that, but I had Houston winning that damn division for whatever damn reason. The bottom line is, it's a surprise to see all 4 of these teams sitting at 2-6. The one thing that is an even bigger surprise, though, I didn't think the NFC East was going to be that good this year, but the fact of the matter remains is the Giants are, for all intents and purposes, only 2 games out of the division with still a few more divisional games left to go. The Giants, by far, because of the weakness of the NFC East, have by far the best chance out of these 4 2-6 teams that I just named to make the playoffs and become a divisional champion in 2013. That's actually kind of sad if you think about it. But some definite positive surprises so far this year and definitely some very, very shocking negative surprises. Now let's look ahead to Week 10 and some big-time matchups coming down the pike this weekend. Start off with the Detroit Lions traveling to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears, a pair of 5-5 teams. The Lions beat the Bears earlier on this year. This is a potential matchup with first place on the line in the NFC North. This is a big game. This is a very big game. It's not a season maker for either team necessarily or a season breaker for either team, but it's still a very big game. If the Bears or Lions find a way to win this game, they go to 6-3. The other team goes to 5-4. And if the Packers happen to either win on Sunday against the Eagles, they go to 6-3, or if they lose, they go to 5-4. You could be looking at this game either launches you into first place or into a tie for second or even third place in that division. You don't want to lose this matchup if you're the Bears or the Lions. It's a very big game. Cincinnati traveling to Baltimore to take on the Bengals. The Bengals have a chance here at 6-3 to effectively knock the Ravens out of the divisional race once and for all, because they're sitting at 3-5 right now. 3-5. The Ravens are. If they can beat the Ravens, go to 7-3. Knock the Ravens down to 3-6. The Ravens are pretty much done in that divisional race, and the Bengals still have a nice little cushion there in their divisional race. Carolina traveling to San Francisco, coming off of a bye. This is an interesting matchup to me, too, because you have 2 teams that can run the ball really well, 2 young, athletic, dual-threat quarterbacks. But when you look at Carolina, they're a team that's been rolling. San Francisco's been rolling. Something's got to give here. So a very intriguing matchup this week. And as well, you got Dallas traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are smarting a little bit from their loss last week against the Jets. The Cowboys actually had Romo, almost give the game away and then find a way to clutch up and win the game for him late against the Vikings. So the Cowboys have a little bit of momentum, or as much momentum as they possibly could, I suppose, after that last-second victory last week. But again, this is a matchup of two first-place teams in their respective divisions in the NFC. So you have a good, impressive slate of games this week. I'm looking forward to the NFL action.